Morning, everybody. It is 8:10 a.m., September 24th. Now, yesterday, remember we had about, I don't know, 18, 19 hours of nothing? Well, we got something, right? We definitely had something. Powell saying that the market's possibly overvalued, or he said something like that about the stock market. And yesterday, we basically just uh, took back the previous day. So I wouldn't say this is bearish. This was a much needed, I wouldn't even call this correction. Um, just a little pullback, basically, which is his normal market thing. I mean, he didn't say anything that was earth shattering. Basically, too, if you look at Nvidia basically erased that Marge move from the prior day. That exuberance was just taken out. Okay. But now Nvidia, I saw us partnering up with Alibaba. So give me one sec, folks. Sorry about that. I'm back. All right. So yeah, yesterday I was open to short and longing. The first test of VWAP in the ES would have been a nice short. I looked at that, but that's not how I trade really. Just shorting from a test. I like to see more development. So for me, I had a long. I had a long right before Powell, maybe about 15 minutes before or something like that. It was working beautifully. I think I had a 3 point stop. I think I got up to 6 points at one point, and then it pulled back, and I moved the break even and got me. And yeah, so that's how it is. My trading style. I'm going to hit break evens a decent amount. That I thought really had legs because we did have like a really thin profile to the downside. We held the last week's highs. Like there was a lot that I liked about that trade, and it just didn't have the juice. Didn't have the juice, right? And then later on in the session, I was looking at a short, but I knew the market wasn't crazy, insanely weak. Um, and then we just, kind of walked away, and then we just kind of hung out near the lows, right? We never really, it never came back for me to short. I never really saw an opportunity to go long, and we just kind of hung out there. And that's what's going on. Now today we don't have much going on. I think we have some. I have to look at it again. I think there's more Fed speak. I have to. We'll go over it in a little bit. We do have new home sales at 10 a.m. But that is light today. We don't have like Powell speaking. So um, now the volume today is a little better. Now the volume got nice yesterday after right. It actually picked up. It actually, we did wind up breaking out to the downside, breaking lower from that big consolidation, right? And if you look at the charts, we'll go over in a little bit. It kind of had a symmetrical move to the day prior. Very symmetrical. So the only thing was there was a nice demand that it blew through, and we really went to like we'll go over like a daily demand zone. That's why I wasn't too crazy about shorting. So that's what's going on in the markets. Okay. Um, let's get into it. So, welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to find structure in the markets along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge. That's how I come up with game plans. Okay. I also use Anchor View Ops. My market internals gives me what's going on under the hood when the market opens, and Bookmap, and my weekly expected move indicator, which you can get on my Discord. Okay. Now, hopefully, You join me every day. You subscribe to my channel. Set an alert. I give you the market story, the news, the economic calendar every day with a bunch of a technical analysis to follow. Also give you long and short trade scenarios in the Nasdaq and the ES futures. Okay, so that is always the follow. Now, if you want something that's more granular and you want more intraday commentary, you can join my Discord, Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, sign up. There you will get my market updates. I'll give you a little preview here. So of course I give you my YouTube live stream. If you click on the link there, then of course live market updates throughout the morning, right? Trades, right? Trade recap videos of my trades that I feel like that you could learn from, and then the weekly expected move right here. Okay, so right here is the weekly expected move. Sign up, download it for free, put it on your charts. You could use it on your mobile and on your desktop app. And of course, after the stream is ended, I usually use little bookmarks here that you can just go right to my scenarios. Okay, so sign up. What are you waiting for? Now, let's get right to it. All right, let's go to futures. Look at the watch list here. Let's see what is happening in futures. Okay, the leader is crude. Now, crude is in a huge balance area. Okay, it's really balancing in the middle of its profile for the year. Okay, for the year, it's just hanging out at the most traded price of the year in this year. It's just coiling up and coiling. It's eventually going to make a big move. Don't know when. Okay, so that Bitcoin and crude are changing places. So Bitcoin's up 1.26, crude's up 1.25, Ethereum up 0.64, the dollar's up 0.47, Nasdaq's up 0.21, 10-year yield's up 0.19, ES up 0.13, the Dow's up 0.08, Russell's up 0.06, 30-year bonds down 0.13, gold down 0.39, silver down 0.62, and the VIX is down 1.92% at a 16.32. Moving on to the Mag 7 Plus. Let's look at that together. Amazon's up 1.24%. Now, Amazon yesterday hit its expected move to the downside. It's not a shocker that it's up this morning. Not a shocker. The expected move to the downside was 221.64. 221.64. And also had a key level there, 220.5. So that was support yesterday. Okay. Coinbase up 1%. AMD up 0.87. Tesla's up 0.50. Boeing up 0.42. Meta's up 0.30. All right, that's that. Remember, Apple hit its expected move on Monday to the upside, right? Where is that now? Pretty much right at it. Okay. Berkshire, there's no laggards here. Berkshire Hathaway down 0.02%. That doesn't mean anything. Okay, now if we go to my top sector list here, United Healthcare is up 1%. United Healthcare is up 1%. That's the only thing notable there. If we go into a granular list here, let's see here. Alibaba. I saw Kathy Wood bought some Alibaba yesterday. Up 8.43%. Riot up 3%. GM, General Motors up 2.34. ServiceNow up 1.87. Marimani up 1.47. All right, let's look at some laggards. Not much here. Oracle down 1.38. Taiwan Semis down 1.29. And Oklo down 1.09. That's nothing really. All right, moving on to sectors. All right, so energy is leading the pack, up 0.34, followed by discretionary, up 0.29. That's your Amazon, Tesla, Home Depot. Technology's up 0.09. Very muted market today. No laggards. No laggards to speak of. All right, moving on to the economic calendar here. All right. Today, 30-year mortgage went down 0.05 today, down to 6.34. We have new home sales at 10 a.m. Crude inventories at 10:30. Fed Fed Daily speaking at 4:10 p.m., which is after the market's closed. Yeah, after the market closed. And that's really it. That's what we got today. Let's look at the juice. We get some more, see what Trump's doing today or something. Let's see here. Okay. Doesn't really have much of a Trump schedule today so far. Interesting. Interesting. Looks like Secretary Bessent was talking. Let's see. Oracle aims to raise about 15 billion from corporate bond sale. The proceeds include funding future investments. Okay, and it explains why Oracle's down a little bit. All right, let's look here. U.S. markets are likely to resume their climb after Alibaba pledged more expenditure and Micron issued an upbeat projection, reinforcing optimism about AI. AI, still all about AI, isn't it? All right, let's go over to some stock news here. Shares of Micron Technology moved higher. The memory chip manufacturer posted a fresh quarter of growth fueled by soaring demand from AI developers. Alibaba is also likely to be in the spotlight after the Chinese e-commerce giant unveiled its most powerful AI model to date, called Q13 Max, and vowed to increase investment in the infrastructure underpinning the nascent technology. American depository receipts of Alibaba jumped by over 9% prior to the opening bell. Wow. I did own Alibaba for a little bit. Adobe shares edged down after analysts at Morgan Stanley downgraded their rating of the software firm to equal weight from overweight. Lithium Americas shares spiked for more than 69%, and media reports that the U.S. is looking to take an equity stake in the group as part of its renegotiated terms for a 2.3 billion government loan. Amazon shares inched higher after analysts at Wells Fargo, fueled by optimism over the e-commerce titan's key web services division, upgraded their outlook to overweight to equal weight. PayPal shares ticked higher after payments group said alternative asset manager Blue Owl will purchase roughly $7 billion in so-called buy now, pay later. All right, moving on to more news. Jimmy Kimmel defends free speech. What else here? Crypto ETF set to flood U.S. market as regulator streamlines approvals. Look at that. In Asia, Japan's Nikkei closed at a record high amid optimism over AI. Okay. Chinese and Hong Kong stocks rebounded on easing U.S.-China trade concerns. Okay. Let's look for any other news. Boeing has partnered with Palantir to use their software firm's AI solutions platform across the plane maker's defense and space unit. Okay. Okay, Ford, the car maker, is recalling 539 vehicles in the U.S. due to the defect that caused the steering column's upper shaft to detach. Meta, allies of the United States in Europe and Asia, will now have access to social media giant's artificial intelligence system, Llama. All right. All right, Micron, JP Morgan raises target price to 220 from 185. Alrighty. Let's see if there's anything here on the list coming up for some of these economic events. Not really. I think that's what we're looking at. Now, yesterday, the overall breadth of the market was pretty strong early on. Pretty strong. Let's look at that breadth real quick. We're still at 48%. 48% over the 20-day simple moving average. That is a middling market for the 500 stocks. That's a middling. It's a very middling reading. Okay. And yesterday, most of the stocks, the heavyweights, were down yesterday. So our market's going to go down. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Real quick, we'll do a little internals recap just very quickly. Here's market internals. So you could see when we closed yesterday, Infotech, 33.5% of the market cap, was up it was down 0.74. It was down more than that. It was down over 1% at one point. So the top four sectors were red. we're all weak. That is going to have your market be weak. Okay. And you can see early on, the equal weight, the white line, was strong. And then it finally, right here, dumped. Okay. You could see once the equal weight joined the party, that's when the market dropped. But then guess what? It just chilled here onto the previous day's lows. And that pretty much was it. Okay. That's your market internals. Okay. Now we can get into what? Some daily charts. Let's pull those up. And you can see here, I want to point out here that you had a daily demand zone here. Right, let's just call it right there. Okay, that's why I wasn't crazy about shorting this like crazy. Okay, you can see this is Friday's close. We actually closed below Friday's close last Friday. But see, all we did is sweep that last day, and that was it. We got some buying towards the end of the day. So pretty much two equal a 2 day balance here. Okay, you could even call it a 3 day balance now with this, but this is two daily candles that are pretty much equivalent. So that's why I wasn't like all out shorting. That's actually why I wanted to go long. But the internals that week, I knew we weren't going to go that high. Okay, so if we look at where we are now, 664.25, 664.25, we are right here, almost the middle of yesterday. Not a great trade location there. Okay, now let's look at your futures. You can see this is last week's highs in futures. So we went over them the last two sessions, and today we're below it. I don't think you got higher low, higher low, higher low. You really haven't broken a low here. Let's see the last time. This is FOMC. So from FOMC, you just had a higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. Okay, momentum still with bulls. Okay, momentum still with bulls. Maybe yesterday some people were thinking, "Oop, it's September. Maybe this is it." I might have been one of them to be like, "Ooh, is this really? We're still in September. Who knows? Who knows?" But this is what we're doing. So I would say it's nothing bearish right now. This is your cues from yesterday. See, same thing. You broke the previous day's lows. That was it. Right? You're back in last week's range. You also had a daily demand zone here that you couldn't break. Okay, if that broke, then that I would have been like, wow, that's crazy. But it didn't. Let's go to your NASDAQ futures. See, you're battling last week's highs in futures, right? So again, same thing in the NASDAQ, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. So as long as that trend stays the same, it's bullish, right? It is bullish. That's all you really can say about it. All right. Real quick, I don't show this a lot. Let's look at the Mag 7s ETF. See the big difference in the days? You see how the Mag 7 obliterated 2 days of buying. That's why that was extra weak. That's why our market moved lower. Okay. Now, if we do RSP, right? Let's look at the equal weight. Now remember, equal weight yesterday wasn't as weak. Let's look at that day. See how this is a mess? Look at this mess. That's equal weight. So look at what happened yesterday. You opened here. So let's just zoom in. Opened here in the equal weight. Pushed all the way up. This is where I was talking to one of my good friends. We were having a private conversation, and I said, wow, this equal weight is super strong. This is equal weight, right? This is the white line on that market internal chart, basically. Okay, you were all the way up here at one point. So that candle, let's see, I don't think I have a shape. Maybe I have a shape here. Hold on, let's see. Maybe I can make something of a shape here. Like this candle at one point. Let's see if we can do something here. Okay. Let's see, we could do something here. Okay, that candle looked like that. At one point of that day, okay, that candle, that daily candle in the RSP looked like that. And then it just got crushed. But that's why that equal weight was so strong. Okay, but our market doesn't move on equal weight, it moves on market cap weight. Okay, so that's the equal weight ETF. Okay, you look at the mess that is. This is really our market if you just didn't have market cap weighting. This mess, look at that. It's a mess. Horrible, right? But that's not our market. This is, right? This is SPY. SPY moves by market cap. See the difference? Equal weight is a mess. That is why, folks, let me explain. That is why our market, if you're a day trader, is kind of hard to find like great trades. The markets are not moving together. They're not working together. I just showed you, right? Let's see, RSP. Again, let's flash it back. Equal weight. That's RSP. That's the white line of my market internals window. Okay, if we look at the market internals, this white line, that's all that is. It represents the RSP, equal weighting. So this white line lets me know the overall market, if everything's equal, how that's doing. You notice how this was stronger here. That's that big candle I told you how it started out. It was strong. But the market cap weight, which is the heavy sectors, is what moves our markets. Okay? That's what moves our markets. So this is the difference, right? When you have equal weight and market cap weight working together, okay, so like RSP, let's say at this area here, like 623, like June, you see how we moved up in the equal weight? So 623, right? Let's look at the SPY there. Maybe I'm wrong here. No, right here, 623. See how the market moved? 620. Oh, I got out of here. Right here. That's the market moving together. Okay. When those markets move together, trading's a lot easier. You don't get as faked out. You don't get choppiness. You get smoother moves in the market. So hopefully I'm explaining that and everybody understands what I'm showing you guys. And that's basically the gist of that market internals. Okay. That's the gist. You want everything on the same page. And it's hard when they're not. You can't execute as well. I always can read it, but see, if you're in my room with me, right? If you're in my room with me, you'll hear me go, this is like this, but this is this. Oh, Nvidia just is up here, Apple's up here, but Amazon just said it's expected to move to the downside. So there's always these caveats all day, like, oh man, equal weight is it's not weak, but like the market cap is getting weak, and it's just like, you're constantly, something's fighting something, which will make moves less smooth. Okay. Well, we'll go over hourly charts now. Okay. Here's our hourly charts. Okay. Now what we did yesterday as well, let's put this graphic up here. So what we did yesterday, I want to show you something. So I put an anchored VWAP from the selling in this candle, right? And the market pretty much honored that yesterday, but that's where we are now, right? Check this out. This is your FOMC anchored VWAP from this candle support, right? Has never been tagged really, except this day. And look, it was touched yesterday. 3 hours you tried to go lower against this VWAP and then it finally pushed off. Okay? So that's why I use those anchored VWAPs. Now, 6707 or 6709, whatever you want to call it, is your most traded price of the rolling week. And that lines up with your FOMC anchored VWAP. That represents the buyers. Buyers are still in control from that FOMC and above the 6710s, let's call it. Okay, as long as you stay above that, you tried yesterday to break it, you couldn't. Okay, now one thing that I would say, you see the symmetrical move up, right? So we moved up, consolidated, move back down symmetrically. You notice we did that symmetrically. We matched the move up and we canceled it. Okay, that's generally what happens. Very symmetrical. The only thing here, you had this nice demand zone here that, we were in. Okay, now that's a pretty swift move down with not a lot of consolidating. Okay, so we have a very poor high up here. Overnight highs, the previous day's highs. If we get life and we start to do this, we can really bust through up here. Okay, if the market firms up, member to symmetric, we could take that out. So that's what I'm looking at. I have no clue what's going to happen today. You never do, right? Right? Until the market opens, I don't know what will drive in the markets today. I don't know who will be weak, who will be strong. I never know. Okay. So here's your NASDAQ. Your NASDAQ has the most traded price 248. Notice it's the most traded price of the rolling week. Your NASDAQ is still, let me zoom out a little bit. Your NASDAQ still, let's zoom out a little more. Come on. All right. Your NASDAQ still, that's the anchor VWAP from FOMC, has not touched the average buyer. Almost yesterday. Nope, didn't touch it. Has not touched the anchor VWAP from the FOMC. So, look, it tried to break the 248s yesterday. Couldn't do it. Just like the ES. Okay, over this line, you're bullish. Over this line, you're bullish. Also had the symmetrical move lower. Okay, couldn't go lower. 3 hours, tried to go lower, pushed up, pulled back, and now pushed back in rare to last week's highs. Okay, last week's highs. I do have an anchor VWAP here, right? And let's see. Like I said, a lot of demand here. A lot of demand here. So I don't know what's going to happen here. Because you keep thinking like, okay, this is September. We might be going lower now. This market's resilient, I'm telling you. And this AI stuff keeps coming out. So, and you think something's going to pop this bubble. But like I said, if you could predict, we'd all be on yachts. And that's not the case. Right? If someone could tell you they always can predict, they're lying. I could tell you there's probability, and then it could look like I know what the hell, like I could read the future, but that happens all the time. Actually, if anybody can vouch for me, I don't know if anybody's listening that right now that hears me during the day or validates me. I very rarely don't know what's going to happen based on an if-then statement in my Discord. I don't know if Documents is watching this live or not, or Amalia or Rosita that could vouch for me. But usually I can say we're probably going to go higher here. See what I'm seeing here? We're probably going to go to here, and we're probably going to do this, such, like that, etc. Right? And usually the market does what I'm saying. However, this is the hard part. I have to have a trade set up in order to act on that. And a lot of times I'm like, well, we're probably going higher here, but let's say we're up in the session. Let's say like right here. Let's say in the overnights. Let's say that I'm reading that we're probably going to go higher. Well, I'm not going to long here. That's just a poor location. That's what I'm talking about. Trading and executing and TA and knowing what probabilities might happen don't always line up, right? An amateur, like which I have done before, would be like, "Ooh, I like this." Right? I think we're going higher. And what happens, right? Everybody knows about trading. Let's say I enter here with a stop loss here. And let's say it's poor location, but I think it's going to go, let's say, to here. Well, if you have poor location, right, what could happen is you get an initial move, and what happens? It stops me, comes down to here, and then what does it do? It goes up here. Was I right in my analysis? Yes. Was that poorly executed? Yes. That's where trading gets very hard because I'm constantly right every day. I get validated constantly, but my setup isn't there. Not easy to not act on that when you feel like you know how to read the markets, right? So, with that being said, the volume profile is telling me something. Just looking at it, right? Just looking at that profile. It's looking like it wants to go higher. Okay. So, first thing we're going to do, let's put the little graphic up here, right? If you watch me, you know I'm obviously big into market profile and volume profile. Now, what I love about it, what I love about it is maybe I'll share something with you. Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up. What I'm working on. It's not done yet. It's still got to have tweaks. Let me just see if I can play this and why I love the market profile. Let me see if I have it here. It's pretty cool. I think this might be it.
How would you like to predict the future?
You see this?
Look at this crystal ball. Volume profiles can help you predict the markets.
Check this out, everybody. This is the power of AI. I'm going to let you hear this. But I wanted her to have, this is why I love volume profile, right? This is eventually going to be a video, but I'm going to let you guys listen to this. This is all AI generated from a prompt using Nano Banana, I believe it's called. So let me know if you can hear this. So this is what I want, like a gypsy woman. And I'm probably going to have volume profiles in the thing. But just tell me, guys, what you think.
How would you like to predict the future? I can help you. Look at this crystal ball. Volume profiles can help you predict the markets.
Pretty cool, right? I think it's cool. And that's why I'm going to get into that. Why? Is right here. Look at this profile. Okay. We all know we want to see a bell curve. Means that it's a completed auction, right? Does that look like a completed auction? No. Okay. In order for this to have a bell curve, you're going to have excess to the top here. Okay. So that's why I said this 6756 is very juicy to break out. Okay. And so whenever I say, you hear me say this sometimes, that structure is king. All right, price action can lull you immediately, like in a smaller time frame, right? Ooh, 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 up, down, down, down. Yeah. Right, but structure is everything, right? So structure-wise, look at what we're doing. That's the most traded price of the rolling week, 67. Let's call it 10. Price is above it, right there. Number one, price is in value. Okay, price is in value and above the most traded price of the week. That is a bullish structure. Okay. Notice the market couldn't go lower yesterday. Now, check this out. So, if the structure is bullish and we don't have excess to the top with a lot of volume up here, all it's going to take is this market to move, and boom, make excess. Now, that could be the blow off top. Do I know that? No. But that's why I say volume profiles help you predict the future. Okay, they give you a probability, and they do it very well. Okay, otherwise I wouldn't use them. Okay, so let's go into some levels here. Now, obviously, beautiful level here. You got yesterday's lows with the 67.10 most traded price of the week, and you do actually have a weak low. Just poor structure. Doesn't have a good excess. Doesn't have a tail there. So that's susceptible to get broken. I can't lie. But we failed to go and find acceptance over the 67.10s. Okay, over this, and you got a lot of demand here. A lot of demand. Your most traded price of the overnight and yesterday is 67.15. That's also right here going to be important. Okay, so if we failed to go lower and you had a lot of shorts here, the farther we go up, they're going to have to cover their positions. We have single prints here, and we can find ourselves back up here. Okay, we do have a supply zone here, which lines up with the 50% retracement of yesterday and last week's highs. We do have that confluence high at 67.56 that I think if we move up there should get broken. Okay, that's what we're dealing. We do down here. You have to talk about it. Most traded price of the rolling month is 66.70. That's your ultimate line you don't want to lose if you're a bull. Okay. Now we're going to get right into scenarios here. We're going to break out this session here. Okay. And we're going to start with bull side. Okay. So the market told us they couldn't go lower yesterday, below the most traded price of the week. Okay. So we are structured bullish right now. So what I would like to see, okay, we do have a kind of like not the best structure up here to get. It looks like it wants to get broken. Now, what would be nice, okay, come back, pull back to that most traded price of yesterday in the overnight, right in this demand zone. Even if you tap the 67.10s and you start to get a higher low, reclaim that, you're going to break the overnight highs. Yes, you're going to deal with this supply zone ahead of us, but we have single prints from yesterday. This should propel it up. Now, what's going to happen, right, is this. Shorts tried their best. The rest of the shorts that are holding, I believe if you go over 50% of yesterday, is going to start to bleed and go back up and possibly break that 67.56s. Okay? The job of the bulls today is defend 67.10. 67.10. Okay? Now, can there be a bear trap? Sure. So if you kind of came down here, ripped past through the 67.10s, broke the previous day's lows, give that a tail. Now you got to deal with this 66.95s. If this happens quick, and this recovery is quick, and you hold back to 67.10s, it's also a long. I don't know if you go all the way up there at this point. I don't think you do. That's what I'm interested in for a long. Okay. Now, shorts. We have to talk about it, right? So, how do we play this, right? Well, we know 50% of yesterday's 67.29s. So, and we know we have supply here. So, couple things. If we kind of do what I said and push into the supply, and we get problems, and you get a nice wick, start getting lower highs, right? Now, if the market is not strong, and you start to push towards yesterday's most traded price, that would be a good trade in itself. Then you want to target 67.10. That could be it. However, if you break this, find acceptance. Let's say you break yesterday's lows, but then you find acceptance, retest the 67.10s in a weak market, Oh boy, this could get ugly. 66.95s. Then you got a demand zone here. 66.80 support. And we're going back, folks, to the most traded price of the month, 66.70. 66.70. Okay? You lose that, you got 66. What is that? 66.49. This could get ugly. This could get real ugly real quick. Okay? But remember, that all that has to happen for me to change my mind. Okay? Now, of course, you want to be conservative. You say, hey, I don't trust anything up here. I need to break 67.10. Fine. Then you wait for that retest. Right? That's it for the ES. Moving on. NASDAQ time. NASDAQ. All right. Now, same thing. Remember when I showed you that woman? I could predict the future. That profile has a bullish imbalance to it. Okay? Has a bullish imbalance to it. Let's go over it really quickly. Look at that profile. You got a distribution here, and distribution here, and distribution here with no excess. Okay? No excess. Completed auctions have a tail. Okay? Now, generally, I'd be like, I don't know, we're in September. The whole September has been bullish. So, I mean, that's what we're looking at here, okay? So, now, what's great recently is structure-wise, the NASDAQ, like yesterday, had the same setup. But once the market opened up, NASDAQ was relatively weak. But right now, they have the same structure pretty much, okay? So let's go over some levels here. Okay, we do have the 25027s are very juicy to break out to the upside. That's the bullish imbalance of the weekly composite profile. Okay, we do have similar supply, right here. Okay, we tried, just like the ES, to go lower below the most traded price of the week. That's your 248s. We couldn't do it. Now, it is structurally a little stronger, it looks like, the NASDAQ. A little bit in the overnights. Okay? And the profile doesn't really have a great tail. It has a little tail to the bottom, but that up here is very incomplete to the upside. That would tell me we probably go higher, okay, before the market opens. Now, I don't know if it does that now. All right, so we have very similar, but I'm going to tell you something here with the NASDAQ. There is a lot of demand zones. This is not going to be easy to just rip down. I mean, they're stacked demand zones. I mean, there's just a lot of buying that happened, right? And demand zones, if you don't know, is a consolidation and a breakout, basically. That's why they're on a chart. That's how you do demand zones. Okay? It's consolidated over a period of hours. Sometimes I go to 12, start at 12 hours, and then it's an explosive move. Okay? That's what all those represent. We coiled, exploded. Okay? So, there's a lot of them down there. Okay? A lot. All right? So, 248 is your defense. All right? 248 is your defense. Okay? Let's go and break it out and talk about a scenario. Okay? So, we'll start out who's in control. Bulls. So, we're pulling back a little bit. We got a demand zone and a little baby demand zone here. Okay? So, great. And I love that we have a bullish imbalance to this profile. Okay? So, if we pull back, Okay. Now this is the POC of the overnight, the 24846s. That means the most time spent is at this price. Also a demand zone. Also value area low from yesterday. Okay. And you have your 248s. So any kind of pullback into here and the market starts to rip back up, we're going to break the overnight lows, folks. You have single prints as well there from yesterday. Then you're at the 50% retracement, 24894s, all right, from yesterday. Like I said, there is supply here, but you have to understand we moved down. Shorts at this point probably took mainly profits. If you start working yourself back up, the rest of the shorts will cover. This will propel the market. You might melt up and boom, breakout. You'll take out the 25027s. Okay? You'll take out the 25027s. Just like the ES. I like the ES's setup a little better. It's more equal, but this could still work. The bear trap. I want this quick. Quick break these lows. Think everybody, oh my God. Then you recover, retest the 248s, and that could also propel us higher. Okay? There's so much demand down here. Now, as always, let me preface this. When I say that there's so much demand down there now, what if these start getting taken out, right? And it's like knife through butter, hot knife through butter. That gives you market generated information, right? Those demand zones should not be cut through like that. That is bearish. That is bearish. Okay? Just like you take supply zones out, they don't matter. That is bullish. Because I don't like to short in demand zones. I don't like to long in supply zones. It doesn't usually go well. Does it sometimes an outlier? Oh, wow, okay, that would have worked. Very rare. Very rare. Okay? Let's go. Now, one more scenario I want to give you. We start here, push up, hit the supply. We could pull back to the 24877s. That's the most traded price of the overnight, and then you could lift as well. So I'll leave you with that. Now, bear side, which right now structurally, not the fan of too much. And all this AI, jeez. All right, so let's go bear. What do I want to see? Okay, the first thing is let's get the pullback into this supply. And let's say we try and we just can't. Lower highs, well, you're going to at least probably test the overnight lows. Now we know 248 is a monster level. If you break that and yesterday's lows, right, you should get a nice move. If you find acceptance here and retest that 248, you don't have a lot of volume here. So you notice pocket of volume here? You do have a gap there. This could get very ugly. Boom. You can go down to like the 245s, 50s. Like I said, there's a lot of demand here, but there is a pocket of volume. There is like a very low volume here. So this could speed up past 247s. Okay? Now, conservatively, okay, wait for this 248 to break, retest, and then try to short that. Okay? Now, let me explain one more thing. All right? I'll just clear this up. I'll give you one last thing to make sure, to understand how I trade. Let's say you're conservative. Let's say the market comes down, breaks, and let's say matches yesterday's lows, right? Like this, and we get a pullback. And let's say we pull there again, right? Well, if the market is weak and we do one more attempt up there, this is what I call confluence lows. And your 24779s become weak and susceptible to really get broken the next time it's tested. So let's say I shorted here. Now I have longs here, here, and here. That's when the big move happens. Okay? That's what I tend to look at. All right? Now that's your scenarios, folks. It's 9 o'clock. Hopefully you enjoyed that analysis. Smash the like button if you did. Me much appreciated. Help my channel out. And as always, please join me every morning. Give you the market story, the market news, the economic calendar, the leaders and the laggards. generally what's going on in markets. Okay? Let me be your morning news. Okay? I don't see who wouldn't like to hear what I have to say. I don't steer anybody wrong. Okay? Now, if you want more in depth from myself, you join my Discord. Confluence Trading, go to the YouTube homepage, click on the link, sign up. What are you waiting for? It's free, and you get live commentary. Use me as your indicator. Okay? Use me as your indicator. Say hi, come and join up. Use the expected move indicator. That is a beast. Okay? That is a beast. All right? And just help me out. Okay? So, with that being said, everybody have a great day. Stay green. No trade's a trade. Okay? If you want to come in my community, please come say hi. Sign up. All right? And if I don't see you in there, I'll see everybody tomorrow morning.